Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the 2016 PS4 retrospective. In this video we're covering just the physical exclusives that came out at retail. I'm going to get to the digital stuff at some other point, and multi-platform stuff will come in another video, but yeah, let's just get to it. The first game this quarter is Ratchet Clank. This is a remake of the first Ratchet Clank game that was on PS2, and a companion to the theatrical film that was released around this time. The game features a mix of gameplay elements and weapons from the entire series. And despite retelling the original story, it feels like the natural next entry in the series. Story-wise, the game reuses the scenes directly from the movie, which feels strange if you've been watching that around the same time as playing it. If you've never played a Ratchet & Clank game before, it's a great starting point and definitely worth checking out, but it may be harder to go back to some of the older titles afterwards. The huge release next, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. The fourth Uncharted game was one that I don't think anyone really wanted at the time, since Nathan Drake's story seemed pretty wrapped up at the end of 3, but it managed to impress and surprise most players on release. As expected, it was a real showcase for the PS4 at the time. The base gameplay was pretty similar to previous titles, but with quite a few improvements and additions, including revamped stealth and melee combat systems. Some more open areas could be explored with a jeep, and a new grappling hook that was fun to use if you can ignore some of the physics-defying maneuvers you use it for. The story brings Nate out of retirement to help his brother Sam, who they thought was dead. Since he's never been mentioned before, there's some backstory that fills in that gap, and overall it makes for a pretty compelling narrative adventure, and ends up providing a much more satisfying conclusion to Nathan Drake's story than Uncharted 3 did. The game features new co-op and competitive multiplayer modes, which were pretty similar to the ones in Uncharted 3. Next up is Altier Sophie, the Alchemist of the Mysterious Book. This is the 17th Altier game and the first game in the Mysterious subseries. Like previous games, it's a turn-based RPG with a focus on its alchemy system, which is tied to plot progression. The game stars novice alchemist Sophie, who discovers a mysterious talking book that gets back its lost memories as Sophie and the book complete more recipes. I'm probably not doing it justice, since this is a massive niche series that I know very little about, but definitely has a big cult following. Then we get Guilty Gear's third, Revelator. This is the first update to the Guilty Gear 3 series. It included 3 new characters and 3 additional DLC characters at launch, as well as a number of system changes and balance updates and an entirely new story. A later update, Rev 2, was released, so that's the version to get instead of this one if you care. Next is the remake of Odin Sphere. The update to PS2's side-scrolling action RPG cult classic is a remake that revamped most of the combat mechanics and gameplay systems, as well as adds in new enemies, environments, and stages. New defensive combat actions and faster attacks give the combat a very different feel. The one downside is there's no new story content here. Next is Grand Kingdom. A tactics RPG that's the spiritual successor to the Japanese-only game Grand Knight's History, which was unique for its look because staff from Vanillaware, including artists and character designers, worked to bring its unique art style to this tactics RPG. It takes place on a continent where 4 nations are at war after the Empire ruled them all and then collapsed. Players can visit the 4 capital cities to stock up on items, equipment, and get contacts, as well as take on various quests while working through the main campaign. An online mode let players fight against each other, but the servers are already down. Last for this quarter is Star Ocean: Integrity and Facelessness. This 5th Star Ocean game takes place between Star Ocean 2 and 3, and stars the main character Fidel and his childhood friend Mika, whose lives are uprooted when an alien race attacks their primitive planet. A Federation ship led by Captain Kenny arrived to help, and some of the planet's inhabitants team up with the Federation to learn what the aliens want and fight them off. The combat system is like the previous games, where you move and attack freely around the battle area, but battles happen directly in the environments instead of transitioning to a confined area. The game was supposed to be a bit of a revival for the series, and it's a pretty fun RPG until you realize how little of it there actually is. It's not that it's too short, it's just that you're going through the same area several times, and there really aren't that many places to visit. It's still worth checking out though. Thanks for checking out this retrospective, and I hope you guys discovered some new games to check out.
It's appreciation time! Reward Mike's hard work by subscribing. Otherwise, we might see you in the next class trial.